Thank you for joining us, Becky.
Becky Wasserman, Legislative Council.
So we are going over to page 305.
I'll bring that up on the screen. Okay, so this is the Senate proposal of amendment to H305, which is an act relating to professions and occupations regulated by the Office of Professional Regulation.
So did not get the bill the first time it passed the House because there was nothing related to taxes or fees or revenue of the state when it left the House.
That's correct. So the relevant sections for this committee are the fee sections of the amendment, which start in section 14, and they are the third instance of amendment. The first and second instance of amendments are making some changes to the board professions in Title 26. I did not draft that part of the bill, but it relates to the regulation of pharmacy technicians and just pharmacists for the first and second instances of amendment. So where the fees come in, as I mentioned, is in the third instance of amendment, starting in not third, I was wrong. Fourth instance of amendment. And that starts on page 7 in section 14. So this committee has actually seen all of this language.
Has it changed since the last?
It has not changed at all. So I believe when it was in this committee, it was part of H281.
Sure.
That 282. I'm sorry, 282.
Great.
So as a reminder, these are fees that are changing as applied to the advisor professions, the board professions, and the corporations division, all under the authority of the Secretary of State's office. So the
last time we looked at this language, which you say is exactly the same.
Exactly the same, yeah.
We had you read through basically all of it.
It did, yeah.
I'm wondering if anyone on the committee needs that to happen again. Okay, so no one needs that again. I'm hearing you saying that they're the same as they were before.
It's the same.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Becky?
Just a quick question. Why are we increasing the fees on nursing when we just increased them last year when we switched to a compact license?
I might actually defer to JF on that question because I don't have a spreadsheet of the last time it was increased.
Yeah, share what you remember in the
My recommendation, my recollection is that a huge portion of the structural deficit at OPR is due to the nursing contract. So I imagine that is why we're kind of trying to increase the revenue from the nursing.
So we missed the boat for the bar on our nursing compact.
Well, let's wait until we're.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers of how much the percentage is increased in the last time it has increased, so I'm not able to answer that.
I will come to it in 1 moment. So, any questions for Becky? Thank you for being here with us.
Okay. My pleasure.
Would you like to come to us again? Or?
Barnett, Joint Fiscal Office. To respond to the question about nursing licenses, on the spreadsheet, it says that they were last changed in 2019. And so that would generate a 13.82% increase, and so modest increases in those fees. That is at least what I see on the spreadsheet.
Or was it that long ago?
I don't remember. We can have someone from OPR join us though.
Because the compact was just recently created, we did set a compact fee. Or what's called an associate fee, or it has some,
Sorry, a privilege fee?
yeah.
Yes.
It has an esoteric name, but it's what we would charge somebody who practices in Vermont, who comes from another state, holds a license from another state. That's part of the compact.
Yeah, but we changed.
So it's last biennium.
Chris, I'm looking at the spreadsheet, it's 2019 is when it was last.
Makes sense.
That's OPR, this comes from their thoughtful analysis and recommendations.
I'm also just. Oh, sorry.
I said it.
Okay. Can you say it again with a projecting voice?
May I trust that this is OPR's recommendation and that they've done thoughtful analysis and they feel that these are the appropriate steps at this time to address structural deficits? Even if we did something recently.
And I also know that they spend quite a bit of time in the lead up to bringing this to us, actually checking with every single board to get sort of buy-in and permission on all of the fees. And there's a few places where they didn't raise them as much as the boards asked them to. But
You got somebody coming?
Other questions? Do you have a fiscal one?
I do. Sources posted it. It just reflects the Senate proposal of amendment. The fiscal information is the same as it was in H 282. And so revenue for the licensing, kind of overall professional regulation fees, this is for both board and advisor professions, would increase by $3.5 million biannually. And the revenue generated by corporation fee increases would generate an estimated $1.8 million annually. So to go back to the fiscal projections that were in H 282.
Those are the same.
Those are the same, yes.
Spreadsheet. Do you like my paper version?
What's the appropriate action?
I think, Chris, would you like us to wait a little bit to hear from LPR? before we- Okay. Okay. Well, why don't we then, no one has any more questions? Is that true? Okay. This is so efficient today, I don't even know what to do. Why don't we straw poll this and then, it is helpful to sort of get an answer to that question, so we'll get an answer to the question after the straw poll. So. All those. Do you have something represented by?
No, I'm just gonna vote yes, but I'm putting no on the floor. Okay, I gotta do that.
All those in favor of concurring with the Senate?
I mean, voting yes because I think it's all done right. It's correct. The numbers seem to add up and.
Okay.
Besides, okay.
Those opposed? I see that as 9-1. Okay. Vice,
Yeah,
yes.
just comment. My understanding when OPR talked to us earlier in the session, that they were aware that there was some structural deficits that was coming about because of interstate licensing compacts and whatnot. And one of us asked, sort of when or how these things would be addressed, and at that point, they didn't really provide correct answers. But I'm not surprised at all that, so here we at the end of the session, and they've got their better information, and they're using the senators as a vehicle to sort of address this problem. So, understood, you know.
And I do think that they're still working on a long-term strategy on it. Yes.
That's my recollection, that this is a step, but this is not the end of this discussion. Yeah,
Very much so.
yeah, for the boards particularly.
Right. Yep.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Sure, yes.
Okay, so we'll be,
I would say be attentive to your phones in case OPR gets back to us. Other than that, 2:20.
2:20, we'll be back here to hear about 72